I guess with age and the injuries that he's had and all that sort of stuff, it's becoming a bit more difficult for him.
I don't know, that's quite nice to see. Maybe it's part of the journey going from, sort of next gen and through into being one of these established tour players, especially top 10. But no, he's exciting to watch. He's always had the weapons and the talent, and I think his attitude is what bothers me. It's not something that I would ever want to teach someone. If I was teaching a junior tennis player, I wouldn't want to go, look, this is how you act.
Welcome back to the Getting Grip podcast. Yes, opposite sides of the world again. We have had a few technical issues and also have been recording for like 10 minutes before this with many interruptions. But it's an excellent
end to my day and the start of yours.
Yeah, but we're here to discuss the ATP Finals, of course. This is sort of like the last big tournament of the year, really, for these players. Probably need a rest by this point, but got to keep grinding away, get those few more ranking points before the end of the year.
At the end.
Yeah, so let's get straight into it. So, I mean, easiest place to start is obviously with Nadal. Probably the biggest surprise result so far. Although, is it a surprise when he does tend to struggle in these end of year tournaments? It's, again, you usually think he would be able to raise his game, especially when playing up against the best players. Like, he is known as the guy who brings 100% to like every session, whether it's practice or whatever kind of match he's playing. But I guess with age and the injuries that he's had and all that sort of stuff, it's becoming a bit more difficult for him. So I don't know, has his chance gone, or can he still turn it around in this tournament?
Well, it's not gone, it's never gone, and we'd be fools to discount him from anything. But I think his own, especially in the past, his own playing style has sort of led to his own demise at the end of seasons, especially these sort of, end of the tour, end of the season finals. The problem with that is he does have a style. It's better in the last few years because obviously he's had to adjust to his aging body and the fact that recovery doesn't work the same way that it used to. But, he's always been a bit more of a grinder and he's liked a longer point. And that, like I say, throughout an entire season does lead to sort of a bit of a degradation. And maybe that's why he's always been maybe a bit injured towards the end of the season, a bit less capable in terms of longevity and points. You never know. But that clock is not going backwards. So if he doesn't do it now, I'd be concerned at whether he would ever be able to pull it off again after this year. Although we've said that about Grand Slams, and look what he's done.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think it's not it's a big tournament, but it's not as much of a priority for him, is it really, compared to, the 4 slams, especially now as he gets older. Same with Djokovic, really. You got to basically peak for those 4 major tournaments and then hope that you're in like decent condition, I guess, when you come towards the back end of the year. I also think, that because we tend to play these finals in Europe more often now, and it is a little bit colder, the surface is a bit slower. So a slower surface does help him, but then on the other hand, he also likes it warm as well in order to get his kick off the surface and all that sort of stuff. So I think that kind of neuters him a little bit in that respect, and it gives the other guys a bit more chance to kind of get on top of the points a bit more. Like I think we saw with Fritz when he played against him, Fritz was really like super aggressive, trying to like push him around, and I think that the bounce kind of helped him a little bit. I mean, he is also like a really tall player and he's got a decent serve, but he was able to really get on top of the ball and dictate a lot of those points. And I think, Nadal was just put on the back foot more than he normally would on if it was, there was a bit more kick off the surface with the bounce. So I don't think that helps him. But again, he could turn it around. I think when we look at Group 1, my predictions probably, I think Ruud will probably go through. He's just kind of, he's Mr. Consistent at getting to like semi-finals at least, and then he was our nearly man, but maybe this time it'll be different. And then I think Auger-Aliassime might be able to turn it around. Again, it's hard to predict, isn't it? Really, but anyone can be anyone on the day. All those cliches, but yeah, I think Auger-Aliassime's been pretty good against top players this year, and yeah, I'd back him to turn it around. I don't know what you think in terms of Group 1, like who might make it through.
I genuinely agree with that, to be quite honest. Auger-Aliassime, he's been on too good a form recently to expect him to just sort of, a whimper instead of a bang at the end of a season. And as you say, Ruud, he's good at getting through these early stages. It's just whether that lasts throughout a tournament. Can't count Nadal out, though. Just can't count him out. Too early to know.
Yeah, let us know your guys' predictions for the first group. Although, I mean, I don't know, will it be finished by the time this comes out? Who knows? But we'll probably have egg on our face again, as happens many times. So yeah, and then if we go across to Group 2, we've already had, somewhat of a surprise with Rublev coming out on top against Medvedev in a basically just a slugfest for like a long 3 sets.
A Russian slugfest.
Yeah, I think Medvedev saved like 7 set points or something in one of those sets. But I mean, testament to Rublev really to keep going. Like, he has been quite hot-headed. He does tend to get frustrated quite easily, and that can kind of put him off his game. But he seems to have kind of improved that a little bit as the year's gone on. He still has that fire, but he seems to stay a bit more level-headed and kind of his head in the points more than maybe previous years or earlier this year. So that's kind of what the showing by beating Medvedev in 3 sets. That's tough for any player to do, and that's mentally he's really shown like more strength than I thought he had, I think. So I don't know what you made of that match.
Yeah, I think as you sort of along the lines that you're saying, is there seems to be that maturity there in the way that he's playing and the headspace that he's in, and I don't know, that's quite nice to see. Maybe it's part of the journey going from sort of next gen and through into being one of these established tour players, especially top 10. But no, he's exciting to watch. He's always had the weapons and the talent, and now it's just seeing if he can make something more of a stamp out of it. And funny enough, as you say that, we are sort of almost at the end of I say we're just over halfway through actually of the Djokovic-Tsitsipas match, which is interesting to see with Djokovic 1 set up. I think Tsitsipas is going to continue his run of a bit more of a whimper.
Merlin's favourite player, Stefan.
How could you tell?
I wonder if his dad's there getting involved. Probably the on-court coaching thing. I don't think that trial's still going on. They'll be loving that. It's almost
maybe they're combining it. Maybe they're doing it in the bathroom now.
Doing what?
The on-court coaching. It's just going to the bathroom to get coached by his dad
for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's got to be a long time.
Oh god, yeah. No, you won't be too disappointed to see him crash out of the tournament. Probably two of the least popular players, although I mean Djokovic obviously does have more fans because he's won loads, but again he does sort of brush people up the wrong way as well. 2 guys that tend to get wound up, not easily, but they do throw a bit of a tantrum every now and again. Djokovic
gets wound up easily. Tsitsipas, in my opinion, has just been... He's not been like a pantomime villain the way Djokovic is, against the crowd and all that sort of stuff. Tsitsipas he's not done anything right. And I think his attitude is what bothers me. It's not something that I would ever want to teach someone. If I was teaching a junior tennis player, I wouldn't want to go, look, this is how you act. Whereas Djokovic, I don't feel like the way he acts is bad. He doesn't present a negative self. It's just he reacts in many situations. And I think people are uneasy with that, which I don't think is a bad thing. That's just, a character trait that people don't get on with.
Yeah, it's weird with Tsitsipas because he's like, I think he seems to bottle it up a bit. Like he tries to be almost too robotic for a lot of the match, and then you can sort of, if things aren't quite going his way, you can see it simmering there underneath. You can sort of see it like in the eyes. Like when he was playing Kyrgios at Wimbledon, it was like he was super like robotic for like, I don't know, a set or 2 or whatever, and then Kyrgios just kept complaining about various things, and then Tsitsipas just completely lost the plot when he just like smashed that ball into the crowd or whatever, and he just doesn't seem to have learned a kind of a way to emotionally handle himself properly in matches. Like you can celebrate winning a point or like a set, or you have to just like be so like stone faced and kind of keep everything under the lid, because ultimately that's gonna, like, if things start going against you, you're just gonna, if you do have an outburst, it's gonna be like crazy, and then you just lose the plot completely. So I think he just needs to kind of try and enjoy it a little bit more, I guess, like not bottle things up so much. And maybe that's something that his coaching team kind of can help him with. I don't know if that's just like a personality thing. Yeah, just it's just a bit weird.
Part of it for him might be that the coaching team is the problem. If I'm quite honest with you, I think that might be part of the problem, because if people around you are saying and validating attitudes and behaviour that clearly doesn't do the right job and clearly doesn't contribute well, especially with a public image, then you've got to change something.
Yeah, it's the same with a lot of these top sports people, isn't it? Like the kind of people they have around them, like a lot of people tend to have like yes men around them, or people who just kind of like build them up all the time. And like you need people who are going to be honest with you and tell you where you can improve. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere. Like it's the same with. Go on.
I was going to say it's part of the problem. Like you have to be strict with players, even if they're paying your bills. Like you need that honesty and you need that strictness to know when you're not being perceived in a certain way, or that you're not, acting in a way that, is necessarily commanding respect from people. It's just, again, you come back to this idea that would you encourage a junior player to act that way on court? If you saw that, what would you think of them? And if that's what you're doing, if you're doing those wrong things, then it's just never going to work out right. And I think that's part of the reason that this sort of stuff bugs me, is because it sets a really bad tone for people who are watching.
Yeah, and you see it we support Man United, and like a few of the players, let's say, have got these type of people around them, it seems, and they just deflect blame basically, and that's not an attitude that's going to get you very far. Like you wonder why results are crap when you just blame everyone else for your issues, when you just need to look in the mirror and have people that are going to tell you like the truth.
Yeah.
So who do we think is going to go through anyway from that second group then? I mean, Novak's, he's a setup at the moment. Again, Tsitsipas could turn it around, but probably not. I think
this group's a bit more cut and dry, honestly. I think Djokovic and Rublev, I think, sort of for the winning and the winner, it's more likely. That's where I'd go with it. I'd be interested to see what Medvedev versus Tsitsipas would be like, but yeah, I don't know. They would be my picks even before the tournament started, not just because they've won a couple matches.
Interesting. It'll be a test to see if Rublev can maintain that kind of that standard and that kind of mental discipline, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, against the other guys, because that's a huge showing in that first match. But again, he's going to play against Djokovic, and that'll be another test. I think he'd beat Tsitsipas, but again, that's difficult to tell. But I think against Djokovic, that'll be again another test of like his belief as well, I guess, because obviously these guys look up to the big guys like Djokovic. But I don't know. I still think Medvedev's a shout to get through. I think his match against Djokovic would be quite tasty, because Medvedev's beaten these top guys before, hasn't he? So he's beaten Djokovic in US Open final, albeit Djokovic was a bit tired, but he has a bank of results and behind him, so he'll definitely have that belief that he can do it. So I think that one will be a one to look out for. And then in the other group, I think that Auger-Aliassime Nadal match is probably going to be almost like a knockout match, because they both already lost. So once you lose two matches, it's pretty tough to get through, I think, based on other results. Unless everyone is beating everyone. Normally one of the players will probably win like all the matches or dominate at least two of them. So for sure. Let's have a winner prediction then, because by the time this goes out,
winner prediction. Oh god, that's a rough one. This is the problem. I don't like the results. They feel like red herrings to me, like the recent results. They feel like sort of they're just there to scarper what I would otherwise produce. I'm going to say Djokovic. I'm going to say that he's going to bring that steely determination. I reckon this is where he's going to make his stamp for next season.
that means I have to go for someone else.
Oh, you're
You
going to
know
go
what?
for Novak as well?
Nah, well, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's an easy one to go for, isn't it? Really, and given that he's had less tournaments throughout the year, he's probably still, fairly fresh.
Pressure. Yeah,
Um,
pressure.
I might go for just a wilder pick. I'll go with Fritz. I just think, yeah, he'll
Interesting.
have a lot of belief
Last
from
minute
that.
addition, mind.
Last minute addition. That he'll have a lot of belief from that Nadal match, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, if you can get on a bit of a roll, then yeah, why not? Like he's looking pretty aggressive. He's got a good serve. He's played like fairly well throughout the year. Didn't he win? Did he win Indian Wells or something? He beat Nadal in one of those Masters events, I'm sure, in the final, and got to the semi-final at Wimbledon. So it's not like he's come out of nowhere. Like you have to be
No.
a solid player to even get to this point, even if it's like a lucky entry because I don't know Alcaraz was injured or whatever. So yeah, I'll go with Fritz, the American, to bring it home. But yeah, let us know your predictions, guys. And again, it's like it's super difficult really to know who's going to win these things. Again, normally you would go with the big guys, but yeah, it's best
Not
of
as
three.
difficult as the doubles. You say it's difficult to work it
yeah.
out. It's not as difficult as the doubles. I haven't got a foggiest who would win in that. But nice to see all the
Skupski.
Brits winning. Let's put it that way. Oh, yeah, but Skupski, Glasspool, they're all doing so
Salisbury's
well.
in there as well.
Salisbury as well. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely to see. It's a little bit of a shame to see for your side, the Aussies, Kyrgios and Kokkinakis. Love that I'm seeing them in a doubles feature-based tournament as well. But yeah, it's nice to see the Brits doing well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Skupski, Salisbury, they've had like unbelievable years. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that match was pretty close between Skupski and the Aussies. Who's Skupski with a Dutch guy? Forgive me, I don't actually know much about that player, but 13 games to 11 games, I think, overall. So it was pretty close. It's hard to predict, isn't it, really?
This is top level doubles, and unfortunately, it's always going to be a nice. Fortunately or unfortunately, it depends how you see it. It's always going to be a bit close, but just hope that you get a show.
Yeah, again, let us know your predictions for that. Again, not something that we follow as much, but it's always interesting to see when we come to these end of year finals that these top guys battling it out.
End of year finals always puts a nice showpiece on for the doubles. I think the way that you attend a session, you get your singles and your doubles. I think that's what I love about this tournament so much. I think most people, social players, they're doubles players, and I think making doubles a little bit more of a scene in tennis is very important.
Yeah. If you have enjoyed this, obviously give us a follow on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. On YouTube, like it, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we will see you in the next one for, I guess, a reaction to our probably rather awry predictions of who's going to win this finals event. It's going to be someone completely different to what we said, but that's the beauty of it, isn't it? The beauty of sport. And yeah,
we'll see
have
you to get our mugs out.
See you guys next time.